The topic of today's lesson is basic geometric ideas. Your objective is to be able to identify points, rays, line segments, intersecting, and parallel lines. I have added a figure to be able to identify these different types of geometric ideas. The first one we're going to talk about is called a point. A point is just a dot on your plane. Your plane is your flat surface. As you can see, I have drawn a plane in the top right hand corner. Because our point is just a dot, you can see that we have many different points on our plane. I'm going to circle them now. We have point A, point B, point C, point D, point E, point F, point H, point I, and point G. If a paper were to ask you to identify points on a plane, you would just write out point A if you were referring to point A. As you can see in this lesson, I have drawn this tutorial and make your own notes on your sheet. What exactly is a ray? Well, a ray has a point on one end and an arrow on the other. It goes forever in one direction without ever making a stop. You can find that we have one ray on our plane. The ray that we can find is found in this area. We are going to call it GH with an arrow over top. It is very important that you are identifying this as GH because we are starting from the point and then going in the area or direction of H. Down below is how you would write out your ray. This is the only one that you will be able to find on our plane. A line segment has 2 points, and they are connected together with a line. A line does not go on forever in one direction, but it does stop at your point. We can find 2 different line segments on our plane above. As you are looking above, you can see that one line segment we can find is H, I, and we also have I, G. As you can see, to write these out, all you need to do is write the capital letter and then put your line directly above. There are no arrows attached because a line segment, once again, has 2 endpoints, which are your points. Parallel lines are 2 lines. And remember, lines have arrows going on in both directions. And they go on and on forever without ever touching. You can tell that if I were to extend this top line and extend my bottom line, they are never going to touch. They are perfectly parallel. You can see up above that we do have one set of parallel lines, and that can be found right here. To write out your parallel lines on this paper, all you need to do is first write the first line, which is going to be A, B. The symbol for parallel lines is 2 straight lines going up like this. And those are going to be parallel with C, D. Now we also have to make sure that we're showing our lines, so I'm going to be putting my arrows up above. This would be your answer. Line AB is parallel to line CD. Two more vocabulary words that you need to know are intersecting lines and perpendicular lines. Intersecting lines are 2 lines that cross. Doesn't really matter what angle they cross at, but you know that they're going to cross sometime. And usually your plane will show them crossing already. Our perpendicular lines are a little more specific or particular. With perpendicular lines, they also intersect like my above figure. However, when they are intersecting, they are going to be intersecting and making perfect 90-degree angles. Your 90-degree angles can be found right here. They're also known as right angles. So if we were to look at back to our plane figure, and it were to ask us what are the names of two intersecting lines but are not perpendicular, we could be able to spot out, for example, if I were looking at BG and CD. And I would go ahead and write this one as BG intersects CD. And these are both lines that go on and on forever in both directions. Notice that if you were to look at this angle right here, I'm not seeing any right angles. However, if our paper did want us to be a little bit more specific and make it a perpendicular line, we would have some options. One option we could do is we could focus on this BG again and have it perpendicular lines with FE. And if we were wanting to go ahead and write that, I would put BG. Here's the symbol for intersecting. It's like an upside down T. And that would go with FE. Those are the main words that you need to know for this lesson. The last thing that is always good to know is pretty much figuring out what is a plane. A plane is just this big flat surface. Now, I'm going to give you some questions and I want you to write them down on your paper. The first question that I want you to do is I want you to draw two parallel lines. Pause right now. Good. I hope you wrote two parallel lines that have arrows on both ends and are drawn in a way in which they never cross. The next thing I want you to draw is a ray. Next, I would like you to draw a ray, and let's label it EG. Good. You should have drawn a point on one end with an arrow on the other and labeled it EJ. We would call this ray EJ. The last question I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and draw me a set of perpendicular lines. Good. I hope you drew lines that look like this. They should have a 90-degree angle. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. And please remember to circle the smiley face of how you feel about basic geometric ideas. Are you happy? Medium face? Or are you feeling kind of sad right now? Remember, I will help you tomorrow.